This episode begins with a look outside Emily's hotel room in Staten Island, part of New York City. It was a stormy night the previous night, but the clouds had almost parted, leaving behind windy conditions and a little chilly for this time of year. Emily is going to visit numerous locations in Brooklyn and Manhattan while she's here, but on this episode, she'll focus on what she saw in Manhattan. She drove to the new Empire outlets, but before leaving her hotel, she purchased an all-day parking pass for just $9. She's not here to go shopping. The outlets are next door to the Staten Island Ferry terminal. The ferry is absolutely free, and it travels between here and a terminal just south of the World Trade Center, which you can see across the river. That vessel over there that's painted orange is the ferry Emily will take to cross the river. It takes about 25 minutes to reach Lower Manhattan. In front of us, in the center of the frame, is the Manhattan skyline, and the tallest building is the new World Trade Center, which opened in late 2014. The cluster of buildings on the left is in Jersey City, New Jersey. On the right is Brooklyn. We'll be traveling near the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island. Emily won't have time to visit either place this trip. You should be able to see the Statue of Liberty in the center of the frame. We'll get a little closer before we reach Manhattan. Fun fact, Lady Liberty is actually in New Jersey. The ferry is a pretty smooth ride considering how choppy the water is this morning. Now inside our ferry and looking out a window, you see another ferry going in the opposite direction, which gets closer to the Statue of Liberty. The idea for the Statue of Liberty was a gift from France. It was conceived in 1875 to commemorate not only the upcoming U.S. centennial, but the abolition of slavery 12 years earlier. Frederick Auguste Bartholdi created the sculpture. The arm holding the torch was displayed at the Philadelphia Centennial Exposition in 1876. It was then moved to Madison Square Park in Manhattan until 1882. The pedestal was finished in 1886, then the statue pieces were assembled, and finally, the entire statue was dedicated on October 28, 1886. As part of the dedication, New York held what was the very first ticker tape parade in their city. The statue is 151 feet and 1 inch tall. Emily will be seeing a smaller replica of Lady Liberty in Paris very soon. Over there is Ellis Island, where many of Emily's relatives from generations ago came to America to have a better life. 12 million immigrants arrived here from 1892 to 1954. Emily is almost ready to disembark in Lower Manhattan. This is her first time visiting New York City in over 11 years, just before the new World Trade Center opened. It should be a great visit to the Big Apple.
Hey guys, Emily. Welcome everyone. I'll say I'm a little intimidated by visiting New York City. There's a lot of negative press last year about how safe the city is, particularly the subways. But in 2025, it seems things have turned the corner a little bit. But the press does seem to sensationalize some things, maybe a little too much. But there are a lot of things on my list, and I'll try and cross off as many as I can during my time here. So come with me to New York City. Let's go.
Now off the ferry, and Emily's walking toward the World Trade Center, but first she's got a couple of stops along the way, and the first one is at Wall Street. The first stop is at this very large and very popular bronze bull statue. This is called Charging Bull, created by Arturo Di Modica and installed in 1989. It weighs 7,100 pounds and is 16 feet long. It's meant to convey financial prosperity, as it's common to refer to growing stock prices as a bull market. Emily's next stop is at Trinity Episcopal Church. The congregation dates back to its founding by King William III of England in 1697. The current church was dedicated in 1846. Emily's going to look inside this beautiful church and then walk around the surrounding cemetery. This is one of 3 separate burial grounds associated with the Trinity Cemetery. Where Emily is walking through is the Trinity Churchyard, where many historical figures are laid to rest. Here's a map of the churchyard, and the center bottom is where Emily is now. Perhaps the most recognizable name is Alexander Hamilton. Noted on that map is this structure, called the Astor Cross, a monument to socialite Caroline Astor. Astor led a high society group called the 400. After she died, her youngest daughter Carrie had this 39-foot-tall monument created for her. Many of these grave markers are over 300 years old. There is so much history right here. For example, this is the final resting place of Albert Gallatin. Born in Switzerland, he is often called America's Swiss founding father, and he was instrumental in shaping the financial system and foreign policy. He still is the longest-serving U.S. Secretary of the Treasury. Also buried here is Angelica Schuyler Church, a socialite in not just New York, but London and Paris. She was the sister-in-law to Alexander Hamilton. This is the grave of engineer Robert Fulton. He invented the steamboat, the submarine, and naval torpedoes. Now walking around to the other side to see more of the cemetery. There are grave sites for other prominent Americans over here, including Hercules Mulligan, member of the Sons of Liberty, friend to Alexander Hamilton, a spy for George Washington, and a tailor. Over her is the grave site of Philip Hamilton, the eldest son to Alexander Hamilton. He died at age 19 in a duel with George Eaker. He's buried next to his father, Alexander Hamilton, a founding father, and the first U.S. Treasury Secretary. He was killed in a duel with Aaron Burr in 1804. Hamilton opposed Aaron Burr when he ran for president of the U.S. and governor of New York, describing him as unprincipled. Scholars believe Hamilton was a genius and attribute him with much of the founding principles of U.S. finance and government. Hamilton created the Federalist Party and helped abolish the Atlantic slave trade. The play named for him is fantastic. Emily was surprised at the number of people here this early, looking around in this cemetery. Maybe lots of Hamilton fans? This looks a little creepy, with the grave open like that. Maybe the body escaped. Walking back, we notice this marker is for the memory of Mary Powell. This is the final resting place of Dr. Robert Ray Parks, who passed away at 91 years old in 2009. He led the parish from 1972 to 1987, during which he built a subsidized apartment building for the elderly and disabled, and he added a television studio to enhance the parish's communication. Over here is where a time capsule is buried. It was buried on the 300th anniversary of Trinity Church, and it will be unearthed on its 400th anniversary in 2097. Just a couple more things to point out before we go to the World Trade Center. This large structure in front of us is the Soldiers' Monument. This honors Revolutionary War soldiers that were held in captivity and believed to be buried here. This monument was dedicated in 1852. It's 45 feet tall and topped with the American eagle. However, there is some dispute that Revolutionary War dead are buried here since Trinity Church supported Great Britain. This slab is engraved with the name Charlotte Temple. Charlotte was the name of a fictional character, and legend had it was based on a true story, and she was buried here. But when they unearthed the slab, no evidence of a buried body was found. Maybe 2 or 3 blocks away is St. Nicholas National Shrine. It replaced what was the only church destroyed in the 9/11 attacks. Across the street is the 9/11 Memorial. This is a very somber place, where the Twin Towers once stood. The memorial opened on September 11, 2011, on the 10th anniversary of the attacks. Emily last saw this 11 years ago and doesn't remember much. One of the fountains is being cleaned and should be open before September 11th of this year. Emily was born after the 9/11 attacks, but her parents remember that day with perfect clarity. Beyond this pool is the Oculus, the replacement shopping and transit hub that opened in 2016. It cost $4 billion, double what was estimated. Inside is the entrance to the observation deck of the new World Trade Center. 12 subway lines, a train station, and numerous shops and restaurants are here. You may recall the video for the One Republic song, Connection, was filmed here. Let's go see the World Trade Center observation deck. It's called the Top of the World. The observation deck is on the 102nd floor of the new World Trade Center tower, and we're hoping there will be some great views. This is an interesting dark walkway, with all these screens in here. It looks like it's showing us in outer space, which we don't understand why. We wonder if this would be additional queue space in case it gets busy. There are actually 5 towers in this complex. Towers 1, 3, 4, and 7 have reopened, and Tower 2 is nearly completed. We're in Tower 1, the tallest one, which is 1,776 feet tall, including the spire. The elevator we'll take to the 102nd floor is the fastest in the Western Hemisphere. Tower 5 has yet to be rebuilt. All 7 towers were either destroyed or severely damaged during the 9/11 attacks. Now in the elevator, there are screens on 3 sides. This shows what Lower Manhattan looked like in a given year. We missed filming this, but the old World Trade Center on our right was shown under construction in the 1960s and vanished in the year 2001.
Welcome to One World Observatory.
This pre-show is really cool. Keep watching these screens, and then in the next clip, that part is awesome. This view is incredible. The observation deck takes the 100th, 101st, and 102nd floors of the World Trade Center. Look at this. A clear view of the end of the East and Hudson Rivers. In the center of the screen is the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island just to the right. Looking west, this is Jersey City, New Jersey. There are ferries that run from there to Lower and Midtown Manhattan. You might be able to see the Colgate clock. Gonna get another look south at the edge of Lower Manhattan, then the Statue of Liberty on the right, Governor's Island on the left. Looking north up the Hudson River, you can clearly see the skyscrapers in Midtown Manhattan, like the Empire State Building. Let's zoom in a little bit, and there are many tall but thin skyscrapers. They are luxury residential buildings with great views in all directions. To the left is Hoboken, New Jersey. You might be able to see Giants Stadium Way in the distance. The riverway to the right is the East River. Toward the bottom of the screen is a 60-story condo known as the Jenga Tower. That's also luxury residential, and that 60th floor penthouse can be yours for $32 million. We bet the taxes on that apartment might be hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Look at the great view of the Brooklyn and Manhattan bridges, along with downtown Brooklyn on the other side of the East River. Great views looking up the east side of Manhattan, and maybe up to Queens to the east of the river. One more bucket list item to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge. That's a really great shot of the iconic bridge, now 142 years old. Looking again at those very thin residential skyscrapers, does it seem like the tall thin one on the left, you can kinda see through it? Does it seem like the building is semi-transparent to you? Please leave me a comment. Emily's glad the weather is cooperating. Sometimes when it's cloudy, the observation deck is above the clouds. Not today though. When Emily was here, she noticed they had helicopter sightseeing tours going along the Hudson River, but a tragic accident happened not long after, when a helicopter broke apart and killed everyone on board. The operator, New York Helicopter Tours, has been suspended from flying by the FAA, and as a result the company has completely shut down. We're not completely at the top of the building, there are roof mechanicals in the floors above us. Also there are mechanicals below us, and then office space below that. Down there is the Trinity Church where we were earlier today. Unfortunately there's some glare on the windows so Emily can't get a clear shot. It looks so small from way up here. Zoomed away in on the Jersey City side of the Hudson, and in the center of the screen is the Colgate clock. Very hard to see from way up here. Another point of interest that may be hard to see is Water's Soul, which is a 80-foot tall sculpture showing a woman's head with closed eyes and a finger to her lips to indicate silence. That was unveiled in 2021, and there it is, close to the building with the swirl on it. It's tough to make out. That was a really neat visit, and the elevator down features this interesting flight down the new World Trade Center building.
Thank you for visiting One World Observatory.
Now taking this virtually empty subway car all the way north to uptown Manhattan, specifically 112th Street and Broadway to our next stop. Almost everyone should recognize this. Emily's at the Morningside Heights neighborhood, looking at Tom's Restaurant, at the campus of Columbia University. If you're a fan of musician Suzanne Luca, this was the inspiration for her 1987 song, Tom's Diner. And if you're a fan of the legendary sitcom Seinfeld, you know this as the exterior of Monk's Cafe, where all the characters frequently ate. The interior of Monk's was from a soundstage in Los Angeles, so it looks nothing like the actual Tom's restaurant. We didn't eat here, but we wanted to see this in person. Now heading back south, and we're looking at Broadway toward Times Square. Emily's not sure if she's ever seen this in person. She has seen this area on TV, probably for one of the New Year's Eve shows. Directly in front of us is the iconic Radio City Music Hall. It opened in late December 1932, and at that time, it was the largest auditorium in the world. Across the street from Radio City Music Hall is Rockefeller Center. Look at the pictures as Emily walks by. There's Radio City Music Hall to the right. Emily's at the top of the rock. She was at top of the world earlier, and now she's at the top of the rock right now. We're here to get a different perspective on the New York skyline, this time from Midtown Manhattan. We'll be closer to the Empire State Building, the Chrysler Building, and Central Park. There's also a pre-show at top of the rock.
As his vision begins to grow, so does the project. This will be a center for commerce, art, and communications, and he will finance the whole thing.
Walking on 18-inch beams 70 stories up while catching molten iron rivets is just a day at the office for these fearless crews.
As the work goes on, John D. wants to create more than just buildings. He wants to create a public work of art. A group of world-class artists and sculptors join the engineers, architects, and builders. Together, they create a place that captures the spark of inspiration. With television, the performers in these studios became welcome guests in our homes. From the time we wake up to late in the evening, they are a part of the family. And every Saturday, America tunes into Studio 8H.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
Never goes away.
Welcome to Top of the Rock. 3 levels of inspiring views and exciting experiences await you.
Take a look at the view looking north from the 69th floor observation deck. We're much closer to those thin luxury condo buildings, and we have an obstructed view of Central Park. 11 years ago, Emily went to the Empire State Building observation deck. She was at the 86th floor, and all those thin skyscrapers weren't there. Now here's a view looking west at the Hudson River, and beyond the river is the city of Hoboken, New Jersey. Directly in front is the Empire State Building, and there are lots of tall buildings around it. And there's a cluster of those tall buildings near the Hudson, probably near the Chelsea neighborhood, which has become a tech hub. 2 flights down on the 67th floor is a gift shop and a bar, which has good views to the south and east. Here's a closer view of the Empire State Building, and to the left is another thin condo building under construction. Way in the distance, you can see the World Trade Center, and maybe the Statue of Liberty. Maybe. They have telescopes here. We mentioned upgrades, and there's one, that rotating deck that rises 30 feet above the floor. New York City has definitely grown in the last 10 years. It didn't look like it would recover from the COVID shutdown, but the city is definitely back and more people are living in Manhattan. Thankfully, with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 with the small lens, Emily can place the lens part between the glass panels and get a clean, non-reflective view of uptown Manhattan. I think uptown starts at Central Park. See the thin building with the black top? That's the 53 West 53 building. The 78th floor penthouse has 7,500 square feet of living area, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. It's yours for just under $65 million. That doesn't include $40,000 per month for taxes and association dues. But the views of Central Park are incredible. If you can settle for a 1-bedroom studio on the 16th floor, it will only cost $3.2 million. Time to head to the 70th floor and get on that rotating platform, which they call the skylift. This experience costs extra. But you rise another 30 feet and the platform rotates, so you can see all of Midtown Manhattan without moving around. That's a nice bonus, being above everyone else to get a better look at these amazing Manhattan views. There's another experience where you can sit on a metal beam and pretend you're one of those construction workers who sat high above a building under construction and ate lunch. This experience is gonna be a hard pass for Emily. It looks like you rise about 10 feet, but even with the seat back and the seat belt around the waist, that looks just a little frightening. The skylift looks a lot better. First, you're much higher, you get a 360-degree view, the platform rotates, and you're surrounded by protective glass so you don't fall to your death. The upgrade costs $35 and lasts probably 10 or 15 minutes. The ticket to get to the observation deck was $42, so basically it's double the cost if you add the platform. Emily's about to find out if it's worth it. Right away, those extra 30 feet of elevation show more of the Hudson River. Maybe not much more of Central Park because some of those buildings are 80 plus floors, but it's still a nice upgrade. We didn't realize the floors were glass, but that's okay. You can see how high up we are compared to everyone else on the various observation decks. And just like that, we dropped back down to the 70th floor deck. Those 10 minutes or so went by quick. Some thoughts, $35 seems like a good price for New York, but if Emily were in Atlanta, $35 would be too much. We lucked out with having the platform to ourselves, because normally they fit up to 12 people on the platform. We think $42 per person to reach the observation decks is a good price for any major city. The World Trade Center observation deck was a little cheaper, at $35. Emily may try to go to the 102nd floor deck at the Empire State Building next time. Tickets cost $79, the same as Top of the Rock with the rotating platform upgrade. Alright, let's head to our next stop. About a half-mile south of Rockefeller Center is Times Square. This is where 2 million people visit to watch a 12-foot ball with 32,000 LED lights drop to ring in the new year. Emily thought this entire area was very overwhelming. So many people, so many lights, so much traffic all concentrated here. But it's cool to see where the ball drop is, and where some of the morning shows are filmed. Thankfully, Emily didn't see any fake Mickey Mouse characters walking around, the ones that charge you $20 to take their picture. Emily thinks there was a Toys R Us store when she last visited, but it shut down like the entire company a few years ago. And a fun fact, there's an Olive Garden in Times Square, and that's the largest, the most expensive, and the most popular Olive Garden location in the country. Okay, let's go to that subway station across the street and see what's next. A little south of Times Square is the neighborhood of Greenwich Village, which has a building that was the backdrop for another iconic NBC sitcom, this one from the 90s and 2000s. Do you recognize it? At the corner of Grove and Bedford Streets is this 6-story building used for exterior shots from the legendary TV show, Friends. In earlier seasons, Monica and Rachel lived in one apartment that had an open porch, which is not part of this building. Joey and Chandler lived in an apartment across the hallway. Then Chandler moved in with Monica and got married. Rachel moved out, then moved in with Joey for the awful 9th season. Ross ended up moving into an apartment across the street. Friends is one of the most popular TV shows of all time. Each of the 6 main actors earns $20 million annually. That's an incredible amount of money considering the show ended 21 years ago. It's still shown multiple times daily on many different channels. A lot of people were here taking pictures, including teenagers who weren't even alive when friends left the air. Some older people were amazed how popular the show still is. Alright, let's continue south. Emily's next stop is the Hook and Ladder Company 8 Firehouse, made famous by its appearance in multiple Ghostbusters movies. The firehouse opened in 1903. It was selected to appear in the first Ghostbusters movie because Dan Aykroyd was familiar with this area and liked the building. The Ghostbusters logo sign above the door was added in 2021 after a crowdfunding campaign was arranged by the Buffalo Ghostbusters. That's Buffalo as in the city of Buffalo in western New York. They're not afraid of no ghosts. As luck would have it, we're here as the fire truck for Hook and Ladder number 8 is coming back. Since the door is open, the firehouse will sell FDNY shirts for $20. They're not Ghostbusters shirts, but it is somewhat of a collector's item since number 8 is well known as the Ghostbusters Headquarters. Look at the logo painted on the sidewalk. I guess those few dozen people around the firehouse got lucky because they only had the door open for just a few minutes. They only sell those shirts when the big red door is open. This is a cool stop. It's in the Tribeca neighborhood, about 3/4 of a mile from the World Trade Center. And speaking of that, this firehouse was one of the first to respond after the first plane hit. This is also a couple of blocks away from multiple subway lines, so it's really easy to get to. Now Emily is hungry, and she knows of a great place to eat. One place Emily went to the last time she was in New York is Junior's Restaurant, where they serve the most amazing cheesecakes. This is the original location in Brooklyn, which opened in 1950 and is considered a New York landmark. Right when you walk in, they have all these delicious grab-and-go desserts. All of them look so delicious. Their cheesecakes are amazing. Much better than anything you would get at the Cheesecake Factory. Before they serve the meal, they bring out small bowls of pickles, slaw, and beets. Something vinegary to start the meal. Many celebrities have eaten at Junior's, including Joan Rivers, Jerry Seinfeld, Denzel Washington, Eddie Murphy, Adam Sandler, Tony Danza, and Neil Diamond. There are autographed photos all over this restaurant. Emily wonders if Jerry Seinfeld has an autographed photo hanging in Tom's restaurant. Check out this amazing sandwich. It's very different from what Emily's had before. It's a roast beef sandwich surrounded by potato pancakes served with au jus and a side of applesauce. We got these sliders. One slider has a lot of corned beef, and the other is filled with pastrami. These are big sliders with a lot of meat. It also comes with a side of coleslaw. Let's look at this very large dessert menu. Each slice costs between $9 and $10, comparable to that factory place. They have their classic cheesecake, also apple crumb, Oreo cheesecake, brownie explosion, which sounds interesting, raspberry swirl, carrot cake, also brownies, and a black and white cookie. They have skyscraper ice cream sodas, milkshakes, malts, and mountain high sundaes. But Emily can only have one thing off this amazing menu. We decided on this amazing brownie explosion cheesecake. It combines a rich, chocolatey brownie with the creamy and decadent traditional Junior's cheesecake. We were all full, but we had just enough room to enjoy this awesome cheesecake. Highly recommend going here if you're in New York City. The subway line runs across the street from Junior's, so it's very easy to get to. You won't leave hungry, that's for sure. There's a subway station right at the Staten Island Ferry terminal, and we gotta tell you, there were so many people trying to sell us tickets to the ferry. I guess Emily looked too much like a tourist, and they thought she would fall for this. Also, people were selling ferry tickets to the Statue of Liberty, which were also not legit. To Emily, that ruined the New York experience just a little bit. You would think the city would shut that down. But we guess all large cities all over the world have this issue and people just deal with it. Anyway, Emily had a great time in New York City. She saw a number of places in Manhattan and saw overlooks from 2 different buildings, which gave 2 different perspectives of the city. The ride from Manhattan to Staten Island gets us closer to the Statue of Liberty. This is definitely on the list for Emily, the next time she's in New York City. She knows to get tickets from the National Park site and not from one of those fake ticket sellers. There are many more places in New York to see. Emily didn't go to Central Park. There's also famous places like Katz's Deli, and there are other interesting works of art and sculptures throughout the city, including an 18-foot tall pigeon. And speaking of birds, look at all these seagulls flying behind the ferry. Emily lucked out with great weather. It looks like rain tomorrow, so we'll see how it goes.
I'm heading to Connecticut, Rhode Island, and New Hampshire tomorrow. There's more in that part of the country, but you see that next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!